the large monitor.
I had a pet monitor once. It was large. Oh.
Okay, so welcome to the Pirates of Drinax. We will be picking up where we left off last week. Oh, I did forget one thing. But luckily it is within arm's reach. You know, I'm getting serious when I have to pull out a second tablet. We will be picking up where we left off last week. But before we get started, I'd like to thank a friend of the Greenwater Guildhall. Today we would like to thank Dogmight Games. Dogmight Games makes beautiful wooden tabletop accessories for your games, such as dice trays, dice vaults, DM screens. They have this really cool thing called a player vault. You should definitely look into that. They have towers, pretty much anything you can really think of. And excuse me, and everything that they make is customizable. And if you order something that's customized, it usually ships within 7 to 8 days from time of purchase. If you are in more of a hurry, they have plenty of things that are already ready to go, and they have items in inventory that usually ship within 1 to 2 days from time of purchase. If you've been on the fence about ordering custom dice trays or whatever from Dogmight, perhaps this can coax you along. We have a discount code. If you purchase anything from the store, put it into your cart, and you can use code FRIEND in all capital letters, and that will net you 10% off your entire purchase, and that's good for everything on their store. If you're a fan of our Wednesday night Traveler games, and I mean, why wouldn't you be? We do have a website via Obsidian Portal, and that website, the adventure log, is written in the manner of news articles by the Traveler News Service. And the articles pretty much relate to everything in the Trojan Reach, and sometimes news filters in from outside, from the Third Imperium, or something interesting going on with the Harate to Rimward. But as the Travelers do more and more of their shenanigans, they are going to start taking more and more of a front page newsworthy story. So go ahead and check that out. If you like it, please, on the front page, give us a thumbs up. We like to see those fan likes, and we hope you enjoy the content. So where we left off last week, you guys, it finally all got back together. You got the band back together, taking 2 shuttles down and the Harrier Capri Sun. And so you have docked on Ostrago City on the surface of Palindrome. Just for a quick... here we go. This is what Ostrago City looks like. It's a lot of domes. The atmosphere on Palindrome. So Palindrome is landlocked. Yeah, same thing. Totally locked. And it's basically part of the planet is frozen tundra. The other half is baked because it's constantly facing the sun. The atmosphere on the planet is very thin. So generally, people don't like to go outside. They would prefer to live their life in the domes. However, there is some agriculture. And Ostrago is more closer to what I would say that median line is between the light and darker side. And I'm getting all these notifications because I haven't turned this thing on in a week. So it's closer to that median line, and so it's as best as it's going to get. It's not frozen. It's not burning. And there is, thanks to robotics and drones, there is some agriculture. And those people, the farmers, they do have to go outside. But generally, operating the drones, they're sitting in a nice climate-controlled office. They don't have to worry about, thin air and things like that. And occasionally, they do have to go outside, and then they will bitch loud and clear to anybody willing to listen. But so people don't like to go outside. They want to stay inside the domes as much as possible, and that is where you are. And when you landed, let me get back over here. So when you landed, the first thing that you see, of course, here and here, move you down. These are large double gate doors that are essentially airlocks that lead into one of the outer domes. And these are small landing pads with some cargo containers. And there is, and then of course there is this small building. Strago City, it's called the Landing Customs and Refueling Depot. Calling it customs is a bit of a stretch. Strago City is run by a former pirate. I mean, the whole of Palindrome is run by a former pirate, Lady Yemar. And calling it customs is a bit of a stretch because it's not like they're really going to care too much about illegal stuff coming in. But it is, there's a fueling depot there. It is refueling on planet. They do have refined fuel. And refined fuel is available at 200 credits per ton. Refined fuel is available at 400 credits per ton. And the first thing that you really see, aside from the refueling depot, is a tavern-like bar outside of the dome called the Fighting Chance. And that's where Rexar and Ox were heading when we last played. I don't remember what Keith was doing.
I was just securing the cargo.
Oh, that's right. Oh, thank you. That's right. My beautiful wife brought me a milkshake. So Keith is securing the cargo, and we got Ting, Beth, and Ching Shiih meeting up on the landing pad where the Capri Sun is currently docked. So let's see, 400 tons, or I'm sorry, not 400 tons, 400 credits.
We just filled our fuel up.
That's true, you did. You did, that's right, because you filled up before you even left the high port. So, never mind.
And if I think if I remember correctly, I made sure that nobody paid for fuel.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically zeroed out the debt.
Yeah. Because we paid. You remember.
That one time? Yeah.
Yeah. We paid that fee at that time.
So
back then, over there.
Ox, you and Rexar, and I'll just use Rexar as as an NPC for right now. You guys walk into the Fighting Chance, and the Fighting Chance is as grimy and dirty as you could possibly imagine. It has that roadhouse kind of feel. The center of this bar is taken up with a fighting cage, and the sign on the door is that essentially that all fights are to be at this particular Fighting Chance, which it says is the original. It says all fights at the original Fighting Chance are to be hand-to-hand combat only. We don't allow weapons, and fight. You know, one of the rules is that fights should be considered to be non-lethal. What would you like to do?
Anybody in there now using it? Where's the batting cage?
So there is, along the back wall, there is a bar that goes the length of the wall, and basically the length of the building. And behind the bar, you can see that there's an opening, and there is a kitchen back there. And you see that there is a couple of waitresses moving around the bar, but they're not waitresses so much. They're carrying cash boxes, and they're walking around talking to people sitting at each table, and it seems that they're taking credits or handing credits out depending on if it was a bet from the last match. Currently, there is no match going on.
Okay.
And Rexar is...
Gonna sign? Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is NPC Rexar gonna sign up? He's gotta.
So Rexar is looking at this cage, and he looks at you and goes, "Oh, I don't know, Ox. This looks like a really good idea to me. We could make some good money."
If he's willing to go for it.
Oh, well, he's...
I'll bet on whoever's in there fighting.
Okay. So, you make your way. You find an empty table, and you're kind of perusing the crowd. And like I said, you see these waitresses going around with cash boxes. And of course, inside the actual entrance to the Fighting Chance is a small airlock, so you don't need your respirators in here. You can take them off. The air is climate controlled. But you see these girls going around. You haven't seen anybody yet who looks like, you know, they're the ones that are going to be. You don't see any managers. They're not the ones that are going to be setting these bouts up.
Okay.
And a waitress comes over to your table and she says, "Oh, what can I get you guys some drinks? Do you need any food?"
Sure. What's good here?
She says, "Well, we've got the usual. We've got there's 10 beers on tap. 3 of them are generic brand. And then there are a couple of imported ales. There is a Thalassan Sindalian Imperial Pale Ale. And they have distilled spirits, numerous whiskeys, scotches, vodkas, you name it."
Yeah, beer, whatever's on tap.
Okay.
I'm also gonna, be trying to listen in on any other conversations going around. Listening for rumors and stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead and make a carouse check.
Carouse check. Okay. I'm looking for the line. There we go.
So it would be carouse plus charm. And for every 100 credits that you decide to toss in, buying people's drinks and whatnot, you can give yourself a +1.
Yeah, okay, I'll do one of those rounds of drinks.
Okay.
And
Thank you, my love.
there we go. 11.
Oh. Okay. So you hear some talk from another table. You buy them a round of drinks, and there's these 3 rough-looking spaces. They don't look like they're pirates. They just look like traders. And they are talking about the winner of the last match, who the match ended probably a good 20 minutes before you got here, is the way it sounds. And they're talking about how this, the winner of this match is, pretty much the champion over the last 2 or 3 weeks. She has only lost once, and but every other one of her wins was by knockout. And the bout that she lost was actually to a modified agricultural drone that somebody had beefed up to have her fight. And of course, hand-to-hand combat against a robot's got to be harsh on your knuckles. And so they tell you, they're like, oh, we can't really fault her for that. But every other match against all of the other ones, everybody who's gone up against her, she's beat them. And Rexar is like, I'd like to meet this lady.
Well, when the waitress comes back, I'll ask, my friend here might be interested in one of your bouts. What do you have to do to sign up?
And she says, oh, well, I'll send somebody over. And she sets down your drinks. Rexar pretty much downs his beer in one gulp. And she heads back over, and she goes into a room behind the bar, and she comes back out, and she says, and she's pointing, and you see a guy in a extremely cheaply made suit, and he's a little bit overweight. It looks like he breaks a sweat just walking across the bar floor just to get to you. And he comes over and he goes, oh, so we've got an Aslan that wants to fight. That's excellent, excellent. So our champion, she is looking for something new. I don't think we've had an Aslan in here before. And he looks over at Rexar. He reaches over and kind of pries open the Rexar's mouth. Oh, good teeth, good teeth. Yeah. Yeah. You would be an excellent bout. When could you be ready? And Rexar says, I'm ready now. And he says, excellent, okay. And he looks at you, Ox, and he says, so, I take it you'll want to be betting on your friend?
Oh, yes.
Excellent. I will send over one of my tenders, and she will take your bet. Because you are a friend of the up-and-coming, potentially new champion, you get a 10% bonus to your bet.
Good.
So
when do I get to size up our competition?
he says, oh, we'll be introducing her in just a moment. He tells Rexar, he goes, come with me, my boy. I'm going to go ahead and make you a star tonight. And Rexar says, okay. And he stands up, and Rexar follows this guy into the back. And Rexar leaves his axe and whatnot at the table with you.
Make sure to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, he doesn't, he obviously this is going to be hand to hand. So, and he goes off into the back, and within a couple of minutes, one of these waitresses with a cash box comes over, and she says, "Oh, I was told that there's going to be a new bout starting. Would you like to bet on the Aslan, or would you like to bet on our champion?"
What odds you guys giving?
Well, she says, we're going to say 3-1 against the Aslan.
Oh, I'm willing to take some of that. What's the typical amount people bet around here?
She says, oh, we get all types. There's no minimum, but, it's really, if you're going to bet it, you got to make it worth your while.
Yeah, I'll bet 1,000 credits on my friend.
Okay. And she says, and you get a 10% on that. So she takes your 1,000 credits. She gives you a card that is digitally imprinted with your bet, and she says, when the time comes, if you win, just go ahead and give this back to me, and I will supply you with your winnings.
Okay, thank you very much.
And she goes off to do her business. We'll come back to you in just a moment. So, Beth, Ting, and Ching Shiih, where do you guys want to go?
We have this shuttle with all this stolen
Right,
stuff.
right. And Keith's in the process of securing that cargo, getting ready to bring that into the dome.
Right. I would like to get all my hostages together.
So,
I mean, I've got crew from the space station. I think we've got, and then the 2 shuttle pilot crew, and then we have, so that's 5, and then the 4 nobles. I'd like to get all of them together to be ready to try to hand it over.
So the 4 nobles that you have hostage, are you allowing them to get dressed?
Well, I mean, we can fashion a toga for them. I mean, we're very, very gracious. Gracious.
Why are they still naked? You'd think we'd have all kinds of clothes from all the people we've killed over time.
You would think, yeah, right?
Like, these are perfectly good pants on this murdered guy. I'm not gonna space those, you know?
It's just a security thing. I mean, you know, we move them, we can put clothes on them or whatever. I'm not.
It's for their own safety. You don't want them to get so depressed that they take their shoelaces or belt and hang themselves.
You don't want them going suicidal. You don't want them stashing weapons underneath their clothing. You know, I would.
Hey, it doesn't matter how naked they are. They still got a prison purse.
Yeah. I'm not doing all that checking. I have clean fingernails.
Well, I mean,
For doing the like makeover montage, I don't know how long that takes either.
so you get your hostages dressed up. The the shuttle pilots and the 4 guys from the cargo dock, you have them trussed up pretty tight. And Keith, you're the one with these guys, and they're starting to wake up. And coming from inside the dome to your landing pad, Keith, you see that there are some obvious cargo handlers coming in. But along with them, you see that there is some official kind of people showing up. These guys are wearing uniforms. They're obviously the law around here. And they've got their respirator masks on as they come out. And one of them comes strutting up, and he's got a flat top, and he's kind of built like a box. Not a small man. And he comes up and he says, you the pilot that brought this shuttle down? They just pointed at Keith.
Yes. We found it was mid heist, and we thought we'd bring it down here safely.
He says, well, we've got reports coming from the high port that 4 of their crew are missing, as is the shuttle, and I'm looking at these guys that are tied up. You want to explain this situation?
Well, yeah. So they were going to steal the load. We heard them talking about they were going to take off with the cargo. So we trussed them up, and we made sure that the shuttle got down here where it was meant to be the whole time.
So
You're
Ching,
welcome.
Yeah.
so Ching Shiih. Ching Shiih, go ahead and make a deception check. Deception
Ooh,
plus
I'll
your.
help you out.
You can make deception plus your social or your charm modifier.
Okay. $12.
Damn, you are a very good liar. So,
Our party can't really be, can't fit in with us if you can't lie.
yeah, that's kind of a prerequisite for being a pirate, isn't it? So, he says, yeah, that kind of, your side of the story does kind of check out. Says that it makes sense. And
I mean, if we were trying to steal anything, would we bring it here?
the guys that are tied up are like, no, that's bullshit. That's not what was going to happen at all. These guys just showed up, and there was like a stun grenade, and he cuts them off. He goes, we're going to let Lady Yemar sort this out. We did get your communication ahead of time. So he says, who among you is your captain?
That's me.
He says, all right, so Captain, you and your first officer or somebody of your choice can come with us to have an audience with Lady Yemar. The rest of you, you're welcome to move about the outer dome, but for now, none of you are cleared to leave Astrago. So you can't get in your ship and take off until we get this all sorted out.
Fair enough. I would take Ching Shiih with me to go see Lady Yemar.
Okay, so Ching Shiih and Beth.
When you're going, if it's going well, would you guys remember I need to holler at her to see if she'll take my hostages or get rid of the hostages for me? That would be great. Just a friendly reminder. Nobles for sale.
And so, yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, these four nobles are starting to get pretty ripe. I mean, you got four of them stuffed into a room that was designed for two people, and I mean, rationing being what it is on a spaceship, these guys aren't smelling the greatest.
Well, that's what I could spend my time doing is hanging out on the Harrier, washing the nobles up, cleaning them up.
Okay, so you
They get a makeover montage too.
yes, evidently they do. And so Keith, you being an engineer, Keith, you're probably going to like this. And so you see Beth and Ching Shiih get into a small ground car, and with the sheriff, Sheriff Monson, and they head off and they leave you, and this is the inner dome or the outer dome area. There to your direct left, there is exterior access leading outside of the dome, and you can think of zero reason that you would want to do that. Over here, there is a Planetfall bar and grill, which is a new one. You haven't seen Planetfall before, but Planetfall more or less is kind of like Hard Rock Cafe, but for spacers. And so the Planetfall is it's a happening night spot. Loud music coming from inside, neon lights. It seems rather busy. Up here, there is a Kinsley Merchant Factors, which I think you guys have dealt with some agents from Kinsley Merchant Factors before. Kinsley Merchant Factors is a company that is actually doing quite well on Palindrome because of how Lady Yemar functions. So, Kinsley Merchant Factors are traders, but they very, very rarely actually take possession of any physical cargo. Instead, they buy shares of lots. And it's kind of like futures trading. They buy shares of cargo lots, and that cargo goes with somebody else. And then if it sells for a profit, Kinsley makes a profit off of the shares that they purchased. And pretty much they are the brokers that all of Palindrome, including Lady Yemar, go through. And so everybody, I mean, the population of Ostrago is only about 5,000 people. Everybody here basically does that. And they're doing quite well. And it should be noted that them buying these shares is kind of a side hustle for them. And from what you're seeing just in this outer dome, people have a fairly good a good economic living. They don't seem repressed. This is not what you would expect of a planet that is run by a former pirate. These people all seem fairly content. Unlike the High Port, and of course, it wouldn't be immediately apparent to you, but unlike the High Port is actively, they are actively hostile towards the Imperium. Not to the point of violence, but outright being rude and or sometimes refusing services to Imperial traders. Down here, they don't really give a shit one way or the other. They're like, you're Imperial. We don't really like you, but your money spends just as well as anybody else. And so that's kind of their attitude down here. In addition, over here, there is a medium-sized Advantage hotel chain. Advantage hotels are kind of like the Motel 6 of space. Almost every starport you've ever been in, there is at least one Advantage hotel somewhere. They moderately okay rooms, decent service for a moderate price. In the center of this area is the Ostrago Market and Weapons Fair, which the engineer side of you is looking at this Market and Weapons Fair and you're like, how much money do I have? You immediately would pique your interest.
What kind of stuff can we find at this market and weapons fair?
Okay, so you are in the Market and Weapons Fair, so we're just going to put you in there. So you walk into this large building, and I mean, this map is not really to scale. This was just a rough eyeball that I threw together. But there's this large central area, and it's ringed with these double doors. It's kind of like going to the Expo Center or some of these large convention halls where there's just these. I wouldn't even go so far as to call them doors. They're kind of like somebody had opened up a cargo door and just said, "Okay, everybody come in," and that's what's around this central complex. And inside there are just stalls of every conceivable piece of technology that you could possibly want. Go ahead and make a Recon Plus intellect check.
Okay. 9.
So you spend some time wandering around, and like I said, there is numerous pieces of technology here from multiple tech levels. A lot of it, of course, a lot of it seems used. On the other hand, there is a lot of stuff that seems to be fairly new. And some of it is technology as far away as the Spinward Marches. Which, and I say far away, relatively speaking, the Spinward Marches is practically right next door to the Trojan Reach. But from where you're located, I mean, you're probably looking at 12 to 18 months worth of travel to get to anywhere decent. And the immediate thought that runs through your head, and this is including weapons that you find for sale and things of that nature, none of this would be considered illegal. All of this is legal market fare for the law level that is on this planet. And some of the items that you are seeing are things such as targeting systems, missile guidance systems, things of that nature that are manufactured right here on Palindrome. They have their own niche weapons market for shipboard type weapon systems. But then there's also handheld weapon stuff, stuff manufactured by Instel Arms, things like that. None of it would be considered, outrageously heavy weaponry, though. It's not stuff that you're not going to go in here and buy a battle dress or, probably not even something like a surface-to-air missile or anything like that. But they've got, advanced combat rifles, Gauss weapons, that kind of thing.
Interesting. So, is there anything here that we could use to upgrade the ship?
Oh.
Or is this all?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, and it's funny that you asked that because I was gonna. I knew you were gonna. Really? So what can I? And I was like, I need to look this up before the game, and then I was like, I got to doing something else. That's not really what I'm looking for. Your sensors are already pretty amazing. The first thing that you find that could be interesting is something called a deep penetration scanner.
Interesting.
This basically uses NAS and densitometers to check every centimeter of a ship's internal and external hull. Deep penetration scanners require a target to be adjacent range, so you have to be right next to them. But essentially what this will do is it will show you, it allows you to see everything within a ship that may be perceived visually, such as layout, any hidden spaces, makeup of anything carried, be it crew, cargo, or personal effects. But the scanning is very slow, especially when scanning large ships. And for each ton of deep penetration scanner, it allows for 20 tons of target vessel to be scanned every hour. So, I mean, it's not something that you can do quickly. This would be something that you could add two Capri Suns already fairly advanced systems. It is 1 mega credit per ton, and each ton of deep penetration scanner costs 1 power point. Now, that's really where part of the problem is that you don't really have a whole lot of tonnage to play with unless you want to reduce your cargo bay even further. And number 2, you don't have a lot of power to play with.
Yeah, I'm looking at the power.
The power is an issue. Because, like, the power, even if you're running your holographic hull, like, I mean, that's 100 power points right there. That you barely have enough left over to turn the microwave on.
You could save it for like a saving opportunity.
Yeah, this could be useful in certain situations. So,
Well, what I was saying is you could save your power points and your money for if something like really exceptional comes along the back of the ship. But, you know, dude, you want you're the ship's engineer, so you have good judgment.
yeah, this seems very useful for a pirate.
Right? Yeah, I mean, this is singing your song right here.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide. So I could get 1 ton of it, but I'm trying to decide if that's enough. We can scan how much again for each ton?
20 tons per hour per 1 ton. Per 1 ton of deep penetration scanner.
Okay. So that would take 10 hours to scan our own ship.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
This is something they'll do for dock checks to something, I guess.
Right. This would be very useful if we're docked next to something. It costs how much power per?
It's 1 point per ton.
1 point per ton. Okay, that's doable. We can do 1 ton of this. It would be amazing to have at least that capability.
So the
No.
the other thing that you find is a advanced missile targeting system software package.
Oh, really?
They can be installed to the ship, and this is fire control. And I might be looking in the wrong book. Oh wait, hold on. Maybe not. Ship's computer. So, if I take a look at this. Hold on here, I need to open up the Harrier.
We have fire control 2.
Right, so, let's see here. So they have advanced fire control. Let's see. They have up to advanced fire control 3, which is TL14. Utilizes greater processing potential of ships to create an entire offensive network. This software seems to be used mostly for capital ships. All weapons mounted upon the ship gain a DM to their attack roll, so it would grant advanced fire control would grant well, it's whatever their rating is. So advanced fire control 3 would be +3 to all attack rolls. So the way your current fire control works is that, so fire control 2, let's say Rexar is in the torpedo barbette, and or not torpedo, particle beam barbette, and you have Ting, say, on missiles. Fire control 2, you can say, well, all of fire control is going to go to the particle beam. So that gives Rexar a +2 to his turrets. And Ting would get none. Or you can say, we're going to split fire control +1/+1. Or you can do all +2 to missiles. The other option, of course, is that, let's say nobody's running missiles. Fire control can actually automatically fire the missiles for you, but they only have a +2 to hit. This, instead of splitting it up, it gives it to everything. However, it does use much more bandwidth. Advanced Fire Control 3 uses bandwidth 30, and I'm not sure. Let me take a look. Yeah, so the computer couldn't handle that, but they do have Advanced Fire Control 1, which is 15 bandwidth, that you would be able to give everything a +1 all the time.
It sounds worth it. How much is it?
12 mega credits.
Wow, we don't have that, I think.
They also have anti-hijack software. So this anti-hijack constantly monitors airlocks, access to critical areas, and any attempts to break into computer systems. If it discovers an anomaly, the software automatically shuts down access to the affected area. TL13 Anti-Hijack 3 only consumes 10 bandwidth and costs 10 mega credits. Anti-Hijack 1 only takes 2 bandwidth and is 6 mega credits. Some of the software stuff is really expensive.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, and this is the one that I was actually looking for. So the last option, considering just for missiles, it is launch solution software. It optimizes missile and torpedo attacks. All missile and torpedo salvos fired from a ship gain a DM to their attack roll. So they have launch solution 1, 2, and 3. Launch solution 1, yeah, see, it takes 5 bandwidth and is 10 mega credits. That just seems exceptionally high, but I mean, it is. I mean, you are talking about advanced weapon systems, so. This is the kind of software and stuff that governments buy. So.
Yeah. Yeah, this sounds awesome, but I think we're going to get the 1 ton of sensor.
Deep penetration sensors?
Deep penetration sensors. Yes.
Okay. So you can go ahead and purchase that, and it will reduce your cargo space by 1. So let's see, you were at. Let's see. So you're at like 25.7 tons now, so that'll bring you down to 24.7 tons of cargo space.
Okay.
So, we will come back to Keith Clark in just a moment. So, Captain and Ching Shiih Sheriff Monson brings you to into the inner domes, and you're seeing a lot of the same thing that that Keith was seeing in the outer dome. You're looking out the windows of this car, and people have a pretty good life here. You don't see what you would have expected in this kind of dome where, you know, there would be slum areas. You don't see any of that. Everybody here seems, you know, middle class at least. Your estimation, having bopped around the Trojan Reach, you would think that likely that the lower class of Ostrago City are transient. They're actually the ones that are they come and go. They're on the trade ships that come and go. They don't stay here. But everybody here is actually doing quite well, middle class. And it's quickly apparent that there is an upper class, of course, Lady Yemar's inner circle. And just in what little conversation that you have with the sheriff, it seems that he is a member of that upper class. And he leads you to the central spire of Ostrago, and you take this elevator all the way up to the very top. And you would think, you know, oh, well, I'm going to the top, the penthouse, there's going to be spectacular views. No, not really. There's not really a whole lot to see. Ostrago, when you look out the window, once you get to the top, you see the tops of the domes, and you see some agro farms around the area. But it's not like Palindrome has great vistas to view. There's no sunrise or sunset because the planet's tidally locked. It's just a lot of wasteland looking out to the horizon. And he leads you into a room that at first appears to be like a large suite, but in reality, you realize that this is actually just a gigantic studio apartment, for lack of a better term. You know, think of like a 3,000 square foot studio apartment. And some areas are segregated with curtains. And the curtains actually, they're not decorative curtains. The curtains appear to be like hospital curtains. And he comes in and you see this protocol robot come up. And it comes up and says, "Hello, greetings, Sheriff. Who are your guests? Why are you here?" And the sheriff says, tell Lady Yemar that the group that he does air quotes, rescued her cargo, I've brought their captain and first officer." And the robot says, "Yes, of course." And turns around, and the robot goes behind one of these hospital curtains, and then you see the robot pull the curtain aside, and you see this woman, and she is laying on a table. There are some straps kind of, at first you look, because she's laying flat, it looks like the straps are restraining her to the table. And then the robot goes over and hits a button, and the table starts to raise up on its own. And you realize that the straps are there more or less to hold her onto the table. There are tubes and injections coming out of her at almost every angle. And behind her, you see that there is some kind of artificial lung that's breathing for her. And you just hear the constant, I mean, the room suddenly feels like it got really quiet. And the only thing that you can hear is this as it's breathing for her. And she looks up at you, and you can see that there's a tube going into either side of her chest, just under her breast, that you know, Beth can automatically tell that they're going straight to her lungs. And she looks up at the two of you and she says, welcome to my planet. I hope Palindrome is everything that you had desired. Come closer. And she holds up this frail hand, waving you closer.
I'll get closer. I'm fascinated medically.
I'm sure you are. What are you thinking, Ching Shiih?
Well, I'm going to not get closer. And you said that there seems to be lots of beds, so as discreetly as I can, I'm kind of peeking around. I'll stay where we're approved to be, but I'm kind of looking around to see if I can catch a glimpse of anything else that's going on in here.
Yeah, so the sheriff goes over towards one of the windows, and there's like a little wet bar there, and he just goes over and kind of mixes himself a drink, and he sees you kind of looking around, and he goes, you want a drink? You look like you could use a drink.
Sure.
And he goes ahead and he pours you a scotch on the rocks and sets it on the bar, and he says, Lady Yemar's been really good to us. To all of our people. He says,
Yeah, everyone seems really happy.
He says, yeah, you can tell that just by the people walking down the streets. He says, I don't entirely buy your excuse as to how you commandeered that cargo. But, he says, sometimes people think, well, I'm going to steal this and I can make a lot of money. And then sometimes they realize that if they do that, they're going to hurt some people. They're going to hurt them bad by stealing that. And I kind of feel like you came to a crossroads and you did the right thing by bringing it down here.
Well, I would say that sometimes people just want an introduction. And sometimes they don't want to fuck around. So they find a way to get to the front of the line to talk to who they want to talk to.
And he says, I see we're of a like mind. And he holds up his drink and clinks your glass. So, Beth, you get closer to Lady Yemar and she says, do you like the handiwork of the Judeco scientist that did this to me?
It was Judeco?
That is what I suspect. There was a illegal bioweapon that was released on a capital ship that my crew attempted to pirate. I took the brunt of it. Unfortunately, 2 of my crew members did not make it. I got out just in time. I have to go every few months to thieve for genetic replacement of my organs. Beth, go ahead and make a medic plus intellect or education check.
I got 11.
So, looking her over, and this is and seeing that there's of course numerous monitors here. Looking over her over physically, you can tell that there have been. I'm just going to say numerous. You lose count of the number of surgeries that this woman must have had. In multiple areas. You see that there is muscle degeneration. It looks like that there have been muscle grafts and possibly augmentation. You see of course, numerous signs that there have been surgeries done on her torso, legs. But the thing that really sticks out is the number of ports and implants on her skull. She's completely bald at this point. And you can see that there are wafer jacks. There are clearly that there's a neural comm. There are numerous surgeries. There have been several augmentations to the brain. And she says we originally tried cybernetic augmentation for my organs, but the disease affects cybernetics as well. I even have to have augmentation done to my brain in order to function. My sources tell me that this bioweapon was created by a Judeco scientist. We suspect that he may be somewhere in the Trojan Reach, but we're not sure where. She says, however, my contact on Thief, a man that I believe you know, Varuk Nurgle, says that there may be a link to finding this individual on the planet Homestead. I am willing to pay 2 mega credits if you can find this scientist and bring him to me, or bring me any knowledge of a cure that he may have.
I would love to be a part of this. Is there a name for this bioweapon, or anywhere else it's been used?
There isn't any particular name that they're aware of. But I mean, she tells you the protocol droid hands you a thumb drive, a wafer chip, and says all of the documentation from all of her medical procedures is available on this document. Everything that is known about the effects of said bioweapon is available here. If you are to find this scientist, I'm sure that the information here would allow him to pinpoint its origin.
All right, mission accepted. It seems inappropriate to ask about the hostages.
Well, she kind of broaches the subject. She says, I have eyes everywhere, all over that godforsaken Highport. And she says, I did my homework on you as well. She says, it doesn't take too much investigation to realize that you and your crew are behind some of the more insidious things that have been taking place along the Dust Belt. She says, I'm sure at this point that you are looking for an in to the pirate confederacy, if you will, and I can provide that for you.
That's awesome.
So, Captain, just aside, since she's offered us this money, I mean, we could ask her to take the hostages is a show of good faith, like we unload them, she handles it discreetly before we set off. I mean, having a half dozen or a dozen people in our cargo hold does not facilitate running off to Homestead and saving the day. So maybe you can get her to take them as like the first step of a long, successful relationship.
Or maybe they have like her blood type and she can like use their organs.
Yeah. We have some permanent plasma donors if you keep them hydrated.
Yeah, I mean, I'll offer them up. I'll tell her about fantasy. Say that's where they're going if you don't want them.
She doesn't really laugh. She kind of gives a half smile, and she says, "Fantasy is an unfortunate place."
Working on it.
Yeah, it's a little less unfortunate.
It's getting better. There's more people better now. I mean, they were left there, because, but still, there's some smart people in the gene pool now.
She says,
Right.
"So is that what you want to do? You want to say, hey, we got these hostages?" Well, she does say, before you even ask her, she says, "Don't worry about the shuttle crew or the cargo loaders from the high port. My sheriff and his people will deal with all of that."
Fantastic.
All right.
What about if we throw in a couple more, just, we'll be like, you might have heard reports that there were 4 shuttle loaders. There were actually 7 shuttle loaders. And you might have heard 2 drivers on the thing. It's actually 3 drivers on the thing. So really, it's a much bigger group.
So yeah, I mean, if she's perfectly willing, if she can deal with this problem for you, she chuckles a bit, which sends her into a coughing fit, and she says, "So you tried the old ransom the nobles for money pirate routine, but you bit off more than you could chew because you didn't have the contacts to do that yet."
Well, also, we kind of landed on a series of armpits. Like,
That is,
the first place that has the communication system and like the network for us to even hop on and reach out to our contacts. We've been in shithole after shithole, and we just like leaving nobles there is not an upgrade for anyone. And we're going to be able to harness any ransom or anything. This is the first place we've come where there's a shot at making good.
she says, "I can deal with this for you." Well, first she says, "Armpits and shitholes. Welcome to the Trojan Reach." She says, "This is exactly the reason that most of us like it out here. These nobles come out here thinking that it's some kind of playground for them. If anything, you taught them a lesson, we can hope."
True enough.
They learned many things.
many, many things.
They learned a lot. Yes.
So she's willing to deal with this for you. She tells you that she has contacts in Tobiah that she can reach out to and deal with these. And she says that once your mission is over, that should be all taken care of. and whatever she can get for ransom, she can give back to you.
Oh, awesome. She's the best.
Well, I'd shake her hand, but I'd be afraid it would like fall off or something like that.
I mean, looking at her, that's the kind of situation you're in.
Can we take her brain and put it in Tisney Zazzle's body so that it gets governed correctly? Or no?
Well, if
Okay.
anybody can do it, it's you, so you can only try.
Let's offer. No, I'm just kidding. Ox would be really mad.
So, back down at the Fighting Chance, the cat and the dog-faced boy. So Ox, you you wait probably a good half hour. You have another couple of beers, and then you see that Rexar comes up on out of the floor, like there's like a little elevator that drops down, and you see Rexar come back up, and Rexar stand there, and he's got wrap, fighter's wrap on his hands, and the announcer comes on and says, "Oh, we have a good match going on tonight. Introducing our newcomer, Rexar, an Aslan from the Trojan Reach. We hear that he's a pirate and a raider of first-class seniority." And then you see the other elevator come up, and you see this woman. She's a very slight build, and she's wearing a hooded cloak, and she comes up and throws the cloak off, and you can see that she has two cybernetic arms, and holds up her arms, and the announcer says, "And in this corner, 53, our reigning champion." And she's like hopping around and dancing back and forth, and she does not take her eyes off of Rexar. Looking at her and the way that she moves, you can tell that every part of her is a killer. She is a predator, 100%. The first thing that comes to your mind is that she seems to be more of a deadly cat than Rexar is. And the tenders are coming back around wanting to know if anybody wants to change or up their bets. What about you, Ox?
I think I'm good with what I got.
Okay.
Going to see, maybe. So it's 1-3 if you bet on her, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll stay on Rexar.
Okay.
I like 3-1.
Okay.
He might hurt his feelings if he found out I was betting against him.
Yeah. So
if she's all cybernetic, can her network be hacked? And then you can go into it like, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
So it's funny that you bring that up. Yes and no to that question. So a lot of the hacking that goes on, in order to hack somebody's cybernetics, you're probably not going to be able to do it wirelessly. You're going to have to subdue them and plug in. So that's a problem with hacking cybernetics. There's a lot of computer networks that you're not going to be able to hack unless you plug in physically too. Not everything is wireless. And a lot of it really depends too on the tech level of the world you're on. I would personally think that anything that is tech level 10 or higher is probably going to have a much higher wireless signature than anybody else. And of course, it's going to get more and more the higher tech level you go. But having said that, things like at certain points, highly secure systems are going to be offline. They're going, what in cyberpunk terms would be referred to as data ghettos or data vaults, where they cannot be accessed wirelessly. You have to manually be there and plug in order to access their information. So that's kind of how cybernetics and things like that. I mean, you have to plug in. I'm in the process of revamping how I'm going to do hacking and whatnot, since Ting is really kind of going to bat on this. And I think I'm going to go old school and map out the networks. And the reason for doing that is that there are certain pieces of software that are brought up that unless you are going to map it out and have the hacking player actually do something other than sit there and roll dice and give results, the only way to do it is to map it out and have them role play that particular event. There's other pieces of software that they would only exist because of the distances that are present in the solar system. So I'm in the process of reworking that, and I'll have something actually here fairly soon. I've already got it pretty much in my head, but I need to come up with some generic network maps or generic solar system network maps to kind of, jostle things around that I can throw in at any given time. So 52's up here, and she's hopping around, and the bell goes off. And she is jacked up. She gets initiative and runs across the she runs across right straight for Rexar, and she is going to try to grapple him. Yeah. She jumps up, wraps her legs around Rexar's neck, kind of does a little flip, and flips Rexar until he is flat on his face. And she hops back up and is bouncing around waiting for him to get up, like she's toying with him. Rexar is completely baffled how this just happened. He's never seen anything like this. She seems to be much quicker than he is. Ox, go ahead and make a recon plus intellect check.
Hey.
Your guess is that so I mean, you can obviously see that she has superior strength with her arms and legs. It appears that they are cybernetic, although her legs don't appear like metal. Like, her arms appear metal, but her legs look like look normal, except that they're really bulky. Like, they're probably they're genetic enhancements. But by the way that she moves so quickly, you're guessing that her nervous system has been amped up.
Wonder if she needs a spot, wants to take a spot on a crew. Or any actions stuff.
Rexar gets up.
I'm cheering him on.
Yeah, Rexar rolls snake eyes and tries to swing at her, and she just ducks right out of the way. But when she tries to return the attack, Rexar kind of rolls around as well. He's kind of learning how she's moving. And you're sitting there. This is probably one of the better fights that you've seen. This is probably the first time you've ever seen Rexar be. I mean, you've seen Rexar kind of get into fights before. This is the first time you've seen him at least matched. Rexar misses again. She misses again. And then she connects. Or I'm sorry, Rexar connects. And he connects hard. So Rexar is, at this point, he appears to be getting a little bit irritated with this, and he's baring his fangs, and he just comes up and open palmed. He does not have his dew claw out, but just open palmed, slaps her upside the head, which knocks her clear across the ring for 9 points of damage, which is
Go Rexar.
yeah. He smacked her pretty good. So that is how that fight is going. And the crowd is going nuts. So Ting, you get the nobles cleaned up and dressed suitably. And a couple of sheriffs, a couple of deputies come to the pad, and they tell you that Lady Yemar has made a deal with your captain, and that they're here to take possession of these four. They don't call them hostages. They're here to take possession of your guests, is how they put it.
Would you like to come in and have some tea and crumpets while I prepare them?
They're like, no, we have other duties. We're just going to take them to the central citadel, and Lady Yemar will see to repatriating them.
Yes, I happen to have them prepared here. That I've got them in togas, and yeah, I've shaved them up kind of a little bit,
Yeah.
Well, not a groomer.
The deputies are kind of looking at the way these four nobles are dressed, and they're like, oh my god. Right. They have this look on their face like, these guys really have no idea what they're doing with, the ransom business, but okay, whatever. We'll go ahead and deal with that. And so they take...
Well, it's, I forgot to take them and put them in compromising positions and take pictures for blackmail later on.
Well,
but, Yeah, I'm learning. So,
so these two deputies take these four guys, and they take off. What would you like to do, Ting? So you're left here, not necessarily. You're left here more or less by yourself. What would you like to do?
Well, I mean, we have some cargo space opened up. I can go shopping and see if there's something that we could ship. I'm not really sure where we're going. Is the problem?
So
I guess.
So the last that you heard was that the last discussion that you would have really been in on was that this was kind of a first stop before heading to Homestead to meet with someone named Anderson James about the bank heist. You know that Homestead is a backwater at best with a few colonies on it, and it doesn't have a high population.
Yeah, I want to go to the Kinsley merchant factors.
Okay.
And see if I can if I can arrange to, get me a good deal, I've got like 4 or 5 tons of cargo space I think I can use if we're going to have to use the bladder. That might be down to 3 now because we bought a sensor.
That's true. And
yeah.
you know what? That is a good question. Hold on here, and I can answer that question for you.
Well, I was at 4, and then he bought a sensor, so that leaves 3 tons of stuff.
There it is. Now watch. I'm not going to have it on this particular. No, it is on this map. Good. So you are here. Homestead is here. So even if you didn't want to use the bladder, you can use the Deep Space Refueling Depot of Thieves, and you can make it to Salif, and you can make it to Homestead. So you can roll up the bladder, and rolled up, deflated and rolled up, the bladder only takes up 0.2 tons.
Okay. Well, then can I do those things where I see what might be on the market here to purchase?
You certainly can.
All right. Let's see. Just refresh my memory here. So I'm rolling with broker plus intellect or EDU, right? Or social.
It would be, yeah, it would be broker plus intellect. Oh, man, Cassie.
Okay. So 2. And then how many rolls do I get?
I would allow you. Well, let's see. You get 3 rolls.
I roll. Yeah, and I'm rolling the 2d6 as DDs, and then that's when I get to find out what's on. I remember now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you roll it
And
as
I roll 3 of them.
D66. Right.
Yeah. So I got a 56, a 65, and another 56. Yeah, that happens.
So what you know about Homestead is that, like I said, there are some homesteaders that are making a go of it there. The planet is the homesteaders that are there. If there is any kind of higher technology that comes in, they're going to be hungry for almost anything. A large bulk of what goes on there is what they call mining. Mining on Homestead actually consists of treasure hunters that are digging into the earth, trying to get to the old Sindalian cities that used to dot this entire planet, trying to find lost technology or artifacts to sell on the open market. And there are a couple of high end large mining operations. Most of them, however, are small individually run operations. For instance, it's pretty well known, again, General Development Company has a large mining operation on the planet, trying to find some of this lost tech. But for the most part, the people that are living here are homesteaders. They're going to be really interested in any technology, especially medical technology. So at the end of this,
vehicles, and illegal weapons.
Nah, not so much.
Yeah, that's what I rolled though. Was vehicles twice, and but the vehicles can be tracked, wheeled, or other vehicles. if they're minors, maybe.
So
maybe
yeah,
some
if you were so now I need to grab a vehicle back. So we could say that one of those vehicles is a tracked ATV, all-terrain.
Yeah.
One crew and 7 passengers. Its shipping weight is 10 tons.
Nice. I could pop for coupons.
Yeah, I mean, if you rolled for 2 of those, that's 20 tons. You could technically take those.
Yeah, I rolled 2 of the vehicles and I got a 14 on my broker roll.
Okay. They're willing to drop the price on each of those 20%.
Okay. And do you have the price of the vehicle's base price
Yeah, hold on here.
offhand? I'm not smart and I moved pages.
One here. I think it's probably in here, but maybe not. Yeah, here it is. So base price on these is $155,000.
All right.
Hold on here. So
Hopefully we have the
they'll
ship funds to get a couple of vehicles and sell. for
they
cheap
will
cost.
they'll let you have them, both of them, for 248,000 credits.
I think we're going to do that. We still have the funds to pull that off, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we can do that. 238,000.
Yeah. The 2 tracked ATVs. That should sell real nice on Homestead.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah. The nice high broker roll, but we got a really good deal
Cool.
due to a 14 broker. But yeah, that conducts my boring non-violent business.
Okay. So, Beth and Ching Shiih, you basically sit and chat with Lady Yemar for a while. Both of you can make a recon plus social check.
I think she is AFK.
Oh.
Her screen is empty.
Yeah. Oh, here she comes.
Yeah.
So I got a 10. So.
Ching Shiih, go ahead and make a recon plus social check.
And fun to tell her she was getting shot at.
I got a 10 too.
Okay, so the two of you kind of, you're drinking some really good scotch, and you sit and you chat with Lady Yemar and her sheriff for a while, and it's more like the conversation is more like having tea with an old lady, and you both get the feeling that she's just lonely. And in the course of the conversation, she, tells you a little bit about running Palindrome, and she has immense power. She is the apex of the food chain. But her life right now, with all the money and all the power, and she owns a planet. Her life is spent with machines that are keeping her alive, doctors, nurses, and basically allaying the fears of her crew, such as the sheriff, that don't worry, she's going to make it another day. And so she seems just to be quite lonely. She asks you a bunch of questions. Where have you been? What have you done? She's like, we're all pirates here. You don't have to hide anything.
I will leave it up to Captain how much she wants to disclose. Because I'm a don't say anything, but it's not my ship. So I'm going to leave it to Captain to lead that conversation.
Because what have we been up to lately? I guess I could ask her advice if she's ever done a bank heist.
She says, oh, you were talking about Varuk's contact on Homestead, aren't you? She says,
Yeah.
the first piece of information that she lets you in on, she says, you should definitely get into the good graces with Varuk. She says, for one, he is one of the Lords of Thieves. I will confirm that. You've probably suspected it, but he is more than just some junk peddler or information broker surrounded by pretty young girls. He is one of the lords. She says, actually, as am I. She says, she says, it would be in your best interest to follow up on his requirements. If he has gone so far as to ask you to pull off this job, then that means that he already holds you in high regard.
I'm blushing. That's great.
She says, I don't know anything about his contact other than that he's a go-between for various interests on Homestead.
All right. But I definitely want to catch the scientist first, if we have to pick one.
Well, they're both on Homestead, right?
Well, the people to talk to are on Homestead.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we'll end up going somewhere else probably after that.
Well, she tells you that the two situations are likely to align. She suggests that you follow up with Varuk's, and she says that this is interesting. When she found the information led to Homestead, she thinks that something held in that bank holds information towards possibly finding this scientist.
I see.
She says that, in fact, the information on it came to her from Varuk. So she's not sure, but they may be entwined.
Well, that's convenient. Homestead's your one-stop shop. Well,
Yeah, is Homestead where we killed that guy?
No.
We haven't put the Homestead yet.
Oh, I thought that's that's the Wild West, where we shot the sheriff, but not the deputy.
It was cool.
So,
I thought that was it.
yeah, well, Homestead isn't a whole lot different. She tells you, she says, while you're on Homestead, be sure to always wear a respirator mask. They have a number of deadly diseases and creatures. One of those diseases is called the damp lung. She says, don't drink water unless it has been purified first. She says, the Sindalians released a lot of nasty weapons on that planet. Not all of them radiological. She says also, be prepared to deal with sand fleas. They're everywhere. And her description of these aren't like what you would think of when you think of sand fleas. These are worse and bigger. Yeah. And she says they're all over the place. And she says the sand fleas aren't the only thing on Homestead. If you are forced to, for some reason, go underground, beware. There are mutated creatures.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to see some mutants, like from afar. But, you know.
So yeah, you basically have you finish your drink, and she admits, she says, I have kept you long enough. I'm sure that you have business to conduct and places to be, and kind of lets you go.
I like her. She's awesome. I hope we help her.
Keith, is there anything else that you were looking to purchase in the market?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. And Ting, was there anything else at the merchant factors that you were looking for?
No, not in particularly. I mean, I've kind of used my allotment of most of the cargo space.
Okay.
It's 20 tons. I mean, I guess I'm done. Just can't think of anything.
So, Ox, you are watching. This has gone now. This fight has gone on for 9 rounds. Rexar's looking a little bit worn out. And even the girl is looking like she's, even with all of her enhancements, she's starting to breathe hard. And they finally kind of get into a match, and they both connect with a punch at the same time. They both rolled the same number. And both of them fall down. And they're both kind of crawling. And Rexar...
I'm yelling for Rexar to get up. Stand up!
Go ahead and make a... Do you have leadership at all?
No, sir.
I will allow you to make a leadership roll out of -3 plus intellect to try and rouse Rexar to get up and finish her.
Okay, let's see what we get. Hey, that's supposed to roll it.
Yeah, it does that sometimes.
Okay, I can do it the old way.
Ask Ching Shiih about Roll20 suddenly not wanting to roll. We run into this every Saturday. Hey, that's not rolling what it's supposed to be rolling.
Well, 8 total.
Okay. Rexar gets up. They're going to go one more bout. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, but Rexar got better. He knocks her out. And the announcer comes in, and he's like, that was amazing. We have a new champion. And the tender, she comes over, and she says, well, according to my records, it looks like you won 3,300 credits.
All right.
And Rexar's panting, and he's like, well, I'm really tired. And the girl, she's not out for very long, just a couple of seconds. She gets up, and she comes over and shakes Rexar's hand, and she says, it was a good match. And that's all she says. She turns around and goes back down the elevator and leaves the ring. And after probably another 20 minutes, Rexar comes over, and he sits down. He's sitting there panting, and he says, so, how'd we do?
3,300.
That seems like a very good win.
I think so.
And so...
I have to respect that, because I thought you were going to be like, yeah, we doubled our money.
Honor among thieves.
And so the two of you leave fat and happy, and you get back to the ship. So, the cargo, these two, you see that they're as Rexar and Ox are coming back, you see that the cargo bay is getting loaded up with these 2-tracked ATVs. And you're like, oh, geez, I guess we've done some shopping. And a number of other pieces of equipment that I imagine that Keith will be installing while in jump space. And Captain has the good news that you got a job, or another job on top of the job you already had. Where would you guys like to leave at this point?
Will those sectors go through ground? Will they penetrate, or is it only surface?
That's what I was wondering. I was thinking the same thing.
Depending.
That might be good to use on Homestead if we want to do our own prospect, if it'll penetrate ground.
Yeah, they're not fast. That is for sure. And you're talking about, the need to literally. I don't know. I suppose it would be difficult with a planet because a planet is much larger than a capital ship. But
Sure.
I mean, I suppose that if you had, if you suspected that there was something somewhere and you landed and just kind of turned it on, it could probably tell you what's under your ship.
Yeah, I mean, if it could spot ruins that are buried that nobody else has found yet, at least would give us a higher chance of getting a strike.
Right. Yeah. It could give you some knowledge. Yeah.
Sure.
To tell you, and I had put this in here. There is a picture. There we go. To show you what a dirtball palindrome is, this is what palindrome looks like.
Not very green.
No, it is not a pretty world. It's just a big rock. So yeah, if you guys are ready to go, then Ching Shiih. Hold on here. There we go. Ching Shiih can make an astrogation. Well, first Ching Shiih needs to take off, so she can make a routine piloting plus dex check.
Now, isn't Homestead the one that has a whole bunch of rocks in orbit that you have to dodge?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of shit in orbit. And they're not rocks. They are, well, there is a debris field, yes. Which is funny because...
11.
What'd you get?
11.
Okay, so, yeah, you take off, no problem. And you are cruising towards the 100 or actually 90 diameter limit for your ship. Ching Shiih, you can make, I will just have you make one astrogation check. Astrogation plus intellect or EDU.
Uh, 10.
Nice. And so, Keith, you can make a engineering J drive plus intellect or education with a +4.
$16.
Yeah. And you guys are on your way. So it'll be let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks, and you will be at Homestead.
Awesome.
So, we will pick this up next week with you landing on Homestead. And actually, I
That's
will
awesome.
show you. Where is it? This is Homestead. And we will pick up next week with the first part of Mystery of BT SHT 365 as you land on Homestead.
Okay, sounds great.
Have a good one, guys. I will see you next week.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye.
But